Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living on Blockchain. Today, we are speaking to Vikram Nikkam. He is the founder of InstaCryptoIn. He's worked with Uno Coin before. He's actually one of the veterans in the space. He's been there for a long time. He's kind of seen it all. He's seen the financial crash in UK and how he kind of veered towards the crypto industry, and that became a huge part of our conversation. It was a lovely chat, very insightful. So let's deep dive right in. Hi, Vikram. Welcome to the episode. How are you doing today?
Very nice. Thank you very much for the invite. I've always been pleased to talk about blockchain, Bitcoin. Been
Yeah.
interested in talking about it since a long time.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about people who are working in blockchain. Everybody is like very excited to talk about this space because it's so dynamic.
Totally, totally. For me, it was like a different thing. When I heard about it first, it was 2009 end. And this was
Right.
like at the beginning of crypto so early that it took me till 2018 to meet one person to talk to him about Bitcoin. Till that time, I never
Wow.
met anyone, even though I went like about 15 countries. So I was living in England, and my
Right.
recession, the 2008 recession, just changed the pricing of my house and my assets and everything.
Hmm.
So the idea was to find out what happens to your asset holding in recession time, because I'm from India and I've never seen any land value or a house value drop like the way it happened in the UK. So when I was looking for answers, I came across Bitcoin. The very
Hmm.
first time when I read about Bitcoin, I completely wrote it off. Means so bad that I did not even look at it for the next 6 months till
Right.
it came back to me again on my research. Because the first time when I read about it, I just completely believed that it is something from the banks. Before they used
Hmm.
to have credit cards and debit cards in the style of cards, they used to give us a way to spend money from our bank.
Right.
Now it's a digital format. That's all I
Right.
thought of it, and then I moved on. Because I'm not a financial guy. I'm not an economics guy.
Right.
And I was not a technical guy. So
Hmm.
this is like the main three subjects of crypto. So I passed it. I went on, and again in mid of 2010, I came across, because the price of Bitcoin was doing pretty good. I meant to say that it had price, because till that time
Right.
there was price for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And the first time ever they had some decent price, and it jumped to 50 cents.
Wow.
Is
Hmm.
when I got back to it again, because I read some messages of people saying that, oh, 50 cents for a Bitcoin, it's not going to survive, because it's the highest. It can never ever go higher than 50 cents. That'll be the end of Bitcoin's price. And that's the mindset people had, because that's been happening from the beginning. That's I'm the proof for it, because I said it, I saw it then. Even
Hmm.
today, people say the price of Bitcoin, whatever it is, it's too high. It'll never ever go again higher than this. Same thing was said in 2017 when it touched 20,000 USD, close to 15 lakh Indian rupees. People
Right.
said this is the heights of Bitcoin price. What a digital commodity, or I call it resource. So for me, Bitcoin is like a great resource of the world. So a resource like that can never touch more than that price, is what people say. And I've been hearing it all the time, and I know for sure it is going to go even higher. The reason,
Yeah.
because Bitcoin has to be the global reserve,
Yeah.
because of the kind of properties that it has. It's on the blockchain. It gives equal opportunity to everybody in the world, and especially the countries would love to use it, because your USD as a global trade reserve is not necessarily a decentralized system. It's a centralized system. So the guys who own it centrally take advantage of the printing press that they have in control of. So
Right.
because of that, Bitcoin is going to be the global reserve. And to be the global reserve, it has to overcome the price, I would say, the market cap of gold, then eventually the market cap of USD, then the market cap of the properties around the world, that kind of size of pricing on Bitcoin.
Hmm.
It'll definitely shoot up every 4 years. The prediction is that it'll shoot up 10x. And it's
Right.
been happening.
Yeah.
This
That
year
is that.
also is a year of bull run. This is its year, the year of bull run,
Please
because
go
we've
on.
always seen in
Yeah.
the past, year after your halving, it
Hmm.
triggers the price. The reason, because when it's halved, by that time when it is halving, already
Right.
the miners are feeling the heat, that it's not making enough for them, as they've seen before in profit wise. And
Right.
then when it halves, the miners are now in a very tight situation. A lot of miners go off the space, but of course, a lot of new ones come in. So when they come in, they see the amount of Bitcoins that they make as a price that you get for mining is not enough. And they will be the first ones to start pushing for a little higher than what they would be getting before, because they need to cut their costs, right? So they have to keep pushing the price of Bitcoin a little up. They will
Right.
easily sell it for a lower price. And the
Yeah.
interest in that next 4 years that is built up also brings in more buyers. And, and of course, the trading part of it is the most important thing, because the traders are actually the ones who are bringing in the price to it, and I would say a more presence to it in the world,
Right.
because the
Right.
idea of cryptocurrency and the ethos of it is not necessarily bringing in a lot of people. It's the trading part of it is what is bringing in a lot of people because of the way it fluctuates.
Hmm.
And those kind of things is something for people to see and learn, because a lot of people, when they read about Bitcoin, you don't necessarily understand it. Only the time teaches you. So for
Right.
me, so it took me 2 years to eventually buy into Bitcoin. Even though I heard it in 2009, I only bought it in June 2011 to Bitcoin.
Right.
And at that
Right.
time, there was only one exchange in the world. It was called Mount Gox, and
Hmm.
it was in
Yeah.
Japan.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
easily linked my bank account, but my idea of the time was to leave UK and go travel. So that was my
Right.
interest. That's how I came to know about my asset collapse also, right? So when I
Right.
was doing that, I didn't want to link my bank. I had some money in my PayPal, and I thought, why not just like get some Bitcoins, because I'm still learning. And took me 2 years to buy into it, but still I didn't believe it so much. Or the 100% feeling of Bitcoin was not there, because I had not met anybody. I was so
Right.
eager to meet someone to talk about Bitcoin. It's only online, and the other people that I talk about it is only because I have told them.
Right.
There is nobody
Yeah.
who's already knew about Bitcoin and having a conversation with me. That didn't happen, like I said, till 2013 January. So in the end of 12, I was planning to leave UK, so I didn't want to link my account. I just bought some Bitcoins, a few on bitcointalk.org. That was the only forum then, and I would say
Right.
it was one of the biggest forums that you find information
Yeah.
on Bitcoin. And I found some friends that I used to read about, and then I just put a message saying that I'm interested in buying some Bitcoins just to get a start. Is any home miners who sitting and mining at home would like to give me some? And then there were like a couple of guys who came across.
Hmm.
Of course, this is very early days, right? So there was no
Right.
fear of escrow or anything, that who will send the money first. Between us, we just had one email contact, and we said, okay, I'll send you 0.1 of a
Right.
Bitcoin, which is worth
Right.
nothing then.
Yeah.
And then if I feel that, yes, I received it, it's working fine, because for me, it was first ever transaction. So, and then I said, I will send across the money, you can send me the remaining. And the transaction went smooth, bought a few more times, couple of them. And these guys were mining at home, right? So they had 2, 4,
Right.
6, like that kind of numbers of Bitcoin. Just to
Hmm.
get to understand. So actually that helped me a lot, because if I would have ever bought it in Mount Gox,
Hmm.
the facility that Mount Gox give you by holding your Bitcoin is a great facility, but then I don't get to learn about it. So if
Hmm.
I download my own wallet, store my own Bitcoin in my own security, like I'm being responsible for my Bitcoin, gives me more knowledge on it. So that way I even got an advantage that I did my own thing, and I, downloaded my wallet, passed on my public keys to him to send across the Bitcoin, manage my
Hmm.
private keys. So that way I even learned it a lot.
Right.
Wish I don't wish to, because a lot of people wish they had a chance to do that, because they kept it on Mount Gox. A lot of people lost thousands of Bitcoin because at the time when
Yeah.
Mount Gox got hacked, they lost
Right.
800,000 Bitcoins of the people around the world.
Wow.
So you could
Yeah.
see, even my friend later I met in 14, that he was telling me that, yeah, even he had it on Mount Gox, and then he lost them. So that was really disappointing. But I guess
Right.
eventually I realized by today that a lot of people have lost Bitcoin. That's how Bitcoin become really more scarce and more valuable, because it's clear demand and supply now, right? It just kicks in.
Hmm.
So this is my story from from how I started. When I completely got into Bitcoin, in terms of understanding from online, the facts that I was not very good at finance and economics made me feel like I should study about it, and which I did in 10 for a year, just to get more confidence on this thing, that it should work, why should it work, and who will make it work, and those kind of things. And
Right.
eventually, with all my research, I realized it's for me to just go ahead and use it and be part of it. And that's how it will eventually grow and become big. And today it has. So countries like
Yeah.
Venezuela and Iran depend on Bitcoin a lot for the reason of their global trade, is because they're
Yeah.
heavily sanctioned.
Yeah.
India is
Yeah.
at a level of being sanctioned, because as India, we have sent about close to $1 billion to Iran, and it's not reached Iran yet. It's still stuck in New York, because New York says we cannot pay and buy oil from Iran, even though it is cheaper for us. And those kind of choices that they don't allow us to makes it so strong for us to go ahead and use something decentralized. So that's why
Absolutely.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
is a tool of the world. It's just a matter of time when it gets the market cap of gold and then crosses gold and gets like 10 times the price of market cap of gold. Maybe then it can start becoming the real global reserve, because today countries like China are already helping it.
Yeah,
China
absolutely.
started moving away from USD
Yeah.
way back in 2016, because US tried to pressurize them also to stop printing, to do QEs, to stop doing QE, even though they themselves do a lot of QE, quantitative easing, I mean to say, which is called as monetary easing in India. Uh,
Hmm.
China went ahead and did it. When they couldn't stop China realized they have an edge over it. They
Right.
stopped, they started dumping USD. And just recently, about a month ago, I heard that China was doing more than 50% of their global trade without the US dollar. That means
Wow.
they're using yuan, the Chinese currency, then
Yeah.
the ruble, then other countries, a few, and then Bitcoin. So
Right.
with all this, they're doing the global reserve. Eventually, I think the USD will be phased out, and that's something which we need, because we couldn't give so much power and economic wealth to a country just because they have the printing press, and they have nothing else.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
hold gold. They don't allow you to even audit gold that they have in their reserves.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was never been audited since 1987. And whatever happens, even if you get to audit, the amount of gold that you're holding today is not necessarily equivalent to the global trade market cap or the USD Forex market cap. Those things are
Right.
way, way higher than gold. Because when you
Yeah.
look up on Google and search for gold's market cap, when I started searching and learning about it, it was 7 trillion. Now it
Yeah.
has touched 10 trillion. But 10 trillion is too less compared to what has been printed by USD just the last COVID year of 2020. They printed 26% of their whole reserve that they have in just 1 year. That means they have become too silly and too, I would say,
Too smug,
I don't
perhaps.
want to use bad word, but then
Yeah.
very stupid. Just because you have some defense systems to support your dollar doesn't mean that you keep liquidating so much that you want to use that to go and again fight it wars. The sole reason Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein died is because they wanted to use gold other than US dollar to do global trade. And they were being taken out because they don't want anybody to use anything other than the paper printed by them. So that gives so much knowledge to understand why we need something like Bitcoin and something like
Absolutely.
blockchain based cryptocurrency, which totally negates centralized system and then gives more power to, like, the real world, which is working hard towards the economics, should get
Hmm.
advantage. And the only Bitcoin and blockchain can do that. Bitcoin, of course, is the first one of its kind in terms of blockchain based technology. For that reason, it has the best market cap. But I guess
Right.
blockchain is what is revolutionizing the whole industry here by
Right.
putting industries like IP, intellectual property, on blockchain. Then you're putting
Right.
all kind of banking facilities that banks provide on the blockchain by making it smart contract way without any centralized person trying to dupe you. You have the blockchain that you depend on to do escrows, to do loans, to do staking. Then you have your the very things that's come out of it, right? It's simply escrows is
There
one
is
of the
so
biggest
many,
thing
yeah,
on the
there are so
blockchain.
many financial services like right now that have come in because of particular technology. Like there is such a boom in DeFi as well. So obviously like solutions are coming up which kind of you've talked a lot about like the US supremacy and how China kind of was the first to see it. What do you think about CBDCs? What do you think about central banking issuing their digital currencies? Like China again was pretty much the first country to start doing it, and now they're doing pilots also with Didi, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess the thoughts is very clear. It's indirectly they are understanding that the digital currencies is the way forward because it makes it very simple to bank. To start with, US Federal Bank is always wanting to do that. The only reason they've not done it till now is because I read it recently that they are afraid of that other banks become, redundant. Because when central bank starts in issuing digital currency, they can monitor everybody on one ledger, one scale
Yeah.
instantly, even if they are centralized, I mean to say, because a central bank issued digital currency will be centralized, so they want to control it. But it is so
Yeah.
simple to control that they don't need the use of all these other banks in the line of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Citi. It's good to throw them out because they're crowding my Bangalore city here. by giving 10% more to the staff, and then they're just like flocking everybody. All the best talents go to them. They're the corrupt people in the world. They have big cases on them which have done corruption of more than 10 times of what they pay in fine. So you do 10 million of corruption and then you pay only 1 million as fine, and they're getting away with it. So those kind of things has to be moved. But then just to get that support from them, the federal bank didn't start it. Can you believe that? That's the heights of stupidness that you can see. Again, when you compare that to other currencies, to other countries like India, we don't have that problem. We would like a digital currency to actually help the future. It's similar to how we have UPI in India. Only India has something like UPI, which makes it easy for people to move value around. We don't have it abroad. When I talk to so many people and I have meetings, they talk to me as if like we're in the 80s, because they say, oh, no, Vikram, we will have to wait till Monday morning for it to be settled. I was like, okay, I understand now, because I live there. I know the system is not good for the people to really do financial transactions easily. So that way, India is going ahead to try different things. And I think digital currency is one of them. The reason, because all countries other than US have to have something like digital currency to take an edge over it, because the facility is there, the technology is there. When you use it, you realize that it's so much easier for people to do commerce. And also, we don't have the power already, so we don't have to worry about like the way the US is worried about. And in another way, it actually helps cryptocurrencies to boom. Means eventually when digital currencies from all countries are being issued, even centralized, they at a long run will have to be pegged to something. We were pegged to gold, but we came off the gold standard. Then we were back to US dollar. Now that we are throwing US dollar out of the window, we eventually will have something to peg to, and that will be Bitcoin. It's inevitable. Bitcoin will be the global reserve monetary system, and all the digital currencies, centralized, decentralized, does not matter. The value will be eventually then pegged to gold, depending on the way that we issue our own, digital currencies. If it is continuously printing more, or in terms of inflation, if we have set a system of the inflation to be X amount of inflation percentage every year, accordingly it will be pegged to the Bitcoin, and the pricing will be done accordingly. Right now, the forex market is controlled again. And because of that, the pricing is set by few centralized people. Digital currencies all over the world, every country having it, and then Bitcoin being centralized currency, then the price mechanism will be on a free market system. It will find the price depending on the market movement, not necessarily because of some people sit in an office and decide we should get benefits. So how should we price it? That should be taken away. That's what is Forex right on. Because if you think we have a right Forex reserve and it's not manipulated, then actually Indian rupee should have been more stronger than USD, because US is printing more than India. It's like a monopoly game. If your neighbor on your monopoly game is taking more and more paper and playing with it from the bank, then you cannot just give him your assets for a cheaper price. You have to keep charging more and more him. That means your currency should become stronger. But it is not happening is because of the manipulated market. So I'm thinking digital currencies coming into countries will be the real boom to Bitcoin and to the blockchain, technology that's coming up. It will eventually bring in open doors to a lot more technologies, like what you said, DeFi. DeFi is just the beginning. DeFi on Ethereum is just the beginning. And DeFi and other cryptos on their blockchain is also going to be very popular, depending on how and what kind of needs are there in the future. DeFi is going to help support that. It's a decentralized finance. That's all we want. We have been in the centralized finance. We just want a decentralized finance that nobody gets duped, and all the smart contracts are non-biased. They're not trying to help one person or the other. They're only being there to support a system. And I think that's the future.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a picture, and I think that's the ideal scenario, right? Pegging it to Bitcoin so that it actually becomes like a store of value. Right now, you mentioned that there are a lot of traders and speculators. So what would you consider yourself? Are you like a trader, or are you like a hodler?
Well, I guess I've been all of it now. There was a time when I had to be a speculator. I have to talk about it so much I couldn't stop. So I was already there. Hodling is been the thing, because now that there is a cycle of Bitcoin that goes on in every 4 years. That years of price correction, you have to hodl. If you don't, then the experience you have in crypto makes no use to you then. So I'm a hodler. Trading is not my cup of tea, I must say that, because I've never been into trading. I'll tell you, my trading experience happened the first time as a full-blown experience. Was my meetups have been happening since 2012 end. I've been meeting people online and then eventually offline and in person since 2013 beginning. And it never stopped. Every weekend
Right.
or once in 2 weeks, I have to meet people and I talk about it. So in terms of the trading part of it, is when I went to Bombay to talk about Bitcoin. This was first time in 2015. And I met these people. Till that time, 2 years of my meeting people in Bangalore. I was so engrossed with the people talking about technology, tech of it, how to buy Bitcoin, where to hold it, and this and that and everything. Then suddenly I go to Bombay, and Bombay, everybody talks about Bitcoin as a trading tool. And that
Right.
was like, it was a really nice surprise to me, because in Bombay is the place of finance and trade and everything. So everybody believed Bitcoin was that, and that's how they came to me as my meetup, and I learned from it more
Yeah.
than they learned from me. I would say it's just my experience that I share, of course, all these places, because everybody who's into Bitcoin and blockchain becomes stronger after they meet somebody that I can talk to the way I talk. So I always do that to help people. And in Bombay, I got a lot of knowledge from them about trading, because they had so many questions that they said, how can you just allow a cryptocurrency like that to be traded globally, the open markets with 24 bar 7 markets, instant settlements, because those things were new for them. The
Right.
earlier trading systems that they're used to are delayed settlements, fixed hours of trading, entry and exit of value was limited, it was not global, and suddenly all this is possible with Bitcoin. And then they were like, how can this be possible when nobody's regulating it? And I
Right.
said, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be regulated. The reason it has all that means totally it can give you the feeling of for everyone to be a global person. Because when
Right.
I was living in UK, I met my neighbors, my colleagues, my friends. If anybody talked about business or did plan to start a business, they wouldn't be considering their business to be a local business. They would always imagine their business as global business. But in India, when we start a business, we do not consider our business global straight away. I don't have to blame any of that, because India is pretty big already. And if we serve the Indians itself is a big market for us and big business for us. But the idea that we not think about global is what makes the Bitcoin blockchain gives us that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of limitation even people in Bombay had, that they were thinking of their trading only limited. But now this exponential growth of the trade platform that they get is so huge that they cannot imagine that it is not regulated also. So those kind of things was amazing to hear. But I guess that's my understanding from part of the trading. But I love people who trade because they have a lot of these questions. Some of it I get bugged because they keep repeating, what do you think about the price? What do you think about the price? It's like I
Yeah.
keep on explaining them. There is a certain trend in Bitcoin because of the way Satoshi has written the codes. It has to half every 4 years, and that
Yeah.
sets the setup for the pricing, but they don't get it right. It's because it's a different system to what they're used to. But I guess that's just a pursuit of learning. It's just happening every time I meet them. I'm hopefully meeting somebody in March also in
Right.
Goa, this big platform for traders, and I'm going to set up talk show there, talk for them, and explain them the whole thing again. Since I know how I've met the traders before and what kind of questions come up, I'm looking forward to that again. So that's
Wow.
a
Okay.
side of my trade thing. But I do
Yeah.
have platforms that I've built, allow people to trade, because that came up from my idea of meetups. Because when I was doing meetups from the beginning of 13, the main first lot of people that I got from Bangalore had one question in common. They said, where do we buy Bitcoin? And when we
Yeah.
were hearing about so much, I thought, okay, this is the idea, and we have to build a Bitcoin exchange. And partner along with me, who was also part of the meetups, we got together, we set up a company, and eventually in the meetup, we even recruited a guy who's going to be eventually the technical person who's running Uno Coin right now. So we set up Uno Coin. We had the recruited the Uno Coin tech person also from the meetups, and we got Uno Coin launched by end of 13. Idea was to just make sure that there is a place for people to buy and sell Bitcoin, but it went beyond just buy and sell. Right, it became a great trading platform. When I realized that there is a trading platform which is needed, and they got it, but now how do we bring in that knowledge to the people? Knowledge of using your own cryptocurrency, being owner of your own, passwords and your private keys, and not give your, because it's decentralized, why should we go back to the centralized system? Even though I've built my exchange, it's a
Yeah.
centralized exchange. I have to hold people's Bitcoin. If I don't hold people's Bitcoin, I don't allow them to trade. So for the sake of trading, it's already ready. But for the sake of using it as payments and building knowledge, improving the usability factor of Bitcoin, I was thinking about it since then till 2017. Eventually in 17, I realized we have to do something called InstaCrypto, where now that I'm managing InstaCrypto, allows people to buy and sell, but to their own wallets, because InstaCrypto do not provide wallets.
Right.
Because we do not provide wallets, people have to make a small effort to get their own wallet and receive it to their wallet and secure it by themselves.
Right.
So there is no centralized holding of Bitcoin by the company for the people, so that there is less risk of getting hacked, because any centralized exchange are very volatile, or I won't say volatile, I would say a target for hackers to come and hack, because they know
Yeah.
at this point, at least there is a centralized coin base. There is somebody who's holding some lot of coins, so we may be able to get a good luck out of it. So that way, in InstaCrypto, we do not hold people's coins, so we are not a target to exchanges or your hackers. And
Right.
also, instant transfer. When it's an instant transfer, you get a feeling like UPI. UPI is an instant transfer. If you
Right.
don't have an instant transfer, people will be, the store guy will still be looking at you thinking that, Array, your money is not come to my bank. Are you going to scoot from here? I have to keep an eye on you. That feeling is there.
Yeah.
But if it's an instant transfer like UPI, the shop guy now doesn't have to keep an eye on that customer who came in. He has his product, his money is with me. It's like it's like exchanging cash. Once you give it to their hand, it's instant settlement. That guy doesn't have to even look at you. You can just leave because you have your money. So that feeling of UPI is great feeling for people to use for commerce. And that kind of a system is what is now pending on Bitcoin, and eventually Bitcoin Cash is what makes that happen, because you get allow people to do instant settlements. So that's the way that things are happening now.
Right. Yeah. No, I think a lot has changed, and what you've kind of covered a lot here, mentioning about centralized exchanges and non-custodial exchanges, which like instant exchanges. So currently, you are working on InstaCrypto, right? Could you tell us a little more about that? I believe that it's an instant exchange.
Yes, like I said, it's for you to instantly exchange.
Right.
For you to feel that when you buy into crypto, you should instantly have crypto in your wallet, because the way crypto is instant, you should feel that exchange is also giving it to you instantly. So helps you understand, wow, this works so quickly with an exchange. When you send it to somebody, also when it is instant, it's a great
Hmm.
feeling. It's a feeling like how emails help us do commerce. Because of
Right.
emails, we are able to sell and buy things online instantly.
Right.
Otherwise, we will be waiting on post office to send a message. If I am away from you, I will have to wait
Hmm.
for a mail from you and a postcard with an image of that product. Then I approve it. And I approve it means I'm sending you an email, sorry, a post mail, snail mail. It takes about a week for you to feel that, yes, I have bought it. I have agreed on buying it. Till that time, 2 weeks, you're holding on to the product, not selling it to anybody because you've already asked me. So the delay was fixed by internet and the email system. Instantly, you
Right.
can send me, instantly I'm able to reply to you saying that I'm buying it. Then they just look on to the other jobs. So that part of the commerce is only half done. Means you bought the product, but now when I'm sending you money, if money is not instant to you, the remaining half of the commerce is delaying the real market, because the liquidity is not with you. You will have to wait for 45 days if it's through a credit card, and then if it's a wire transfer, it's X amount of days. You pay more fee than you. It's only 20 hours, things like that. So that becomes expensive and delayed system. That system of commerce, which is the remaining half of receiving payments, if it is instant with cryptocurrency, then your commerce will boom even more, like how it has already helped boom because of the internet. So that way, I believe that the commerce will adopt to instant payments and settlements very quickly, very soon.
Hmm.
And InstaCrypto is going to be part of it. We want to build systems to help people understand crypto can do beyond trading, beyond decentralized. It does instant settlements for global usage, micropayments for global usage. What I mean by that micropayments is, one of the thing is, if InstaCrypto is supported to one of the music guy in Bangalore or anyone in India,
Right.
and if we build a software which is small enough to be sent across the world instantly, he should be able to receive instantly some value where it is smaller also. So today, if you receive anything less than 100 rupees, you still be paying at least 100 rupees as fees to do a global, value system, value transfers.
Wow.
After
Yeah.
paying that equal amount of 100 rupees, you still have to wait X amount of time. So all that gets reduced by the facilities of InstaCrypto, that you were able to receive value which is less than 100 rupees
Right.
instantly from multiple people, and lose very small fraction, rupees, not even rupees in paise. So that means then you can sell your products for 10 rupees also, because your market size is bigger. You're globally, you're able to sell. Unlike before, that you'll be selling it for 10 rupees, but only to India, but you may not find those people who want your product within India. You may be able to find those people abroad. So giving that kind of facility to people, to newcomers, when you're able to send a small piece of software instantly, why not receive the value instantly? Because right now the commerce is only supporting the big value players. not the smaller
Right.
ones. So those
Yeah.
are the things we want to solve in future with InstaCrypto. The beginning of it on the surface that you can see clearly, it's a marketplace for you to buy and sell. It's a place to do a little bit of remittance, a little bit of payment systems, settlements, and grow into the real understanding of why UPI is famous in India. Like that kind of a system for the whole world is something InstaCrypto is looking at.
Wow, okay, that's quite a vision. That's a very ambitious vision. And what you said about how, UPI, we take it very lightly. And I think we've taken it in our stride that, digital payments are pretty much universal because it's happening in India, but that is not the case. And the vision that you've, painted for InstaCrypto, it's quite an ambitious one, but a very relevant one as well. So, kudos on this lovely platform. What is next for InstaCrypto? Like, what is the, next big milestone that you're looking at?
So the next near milestone will be the payments. That is for solving payment gateway systems for cryptocurrency users. Many people tried that in India before. It just didn't succeed. Not just in India, even in China, it didn't succeed. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. So in China, there was Baidu. Baidu is equivalent to Google for China.
Right, right.
And they started accepting cryptocurrency long time ago, back in 2016, if I'm not wrong. So when they started that, they thought that they were going to get a lot of traction. But they realized soon that within 6 months, they shut down. They said, we're not going to take any payments and cryptocurrency is not for us. We're not going to do it. This is not the future and things like that. But those little bullshit that they gave, what really happened was Baidu, when they started accepting cryptocurrency, they only got 1.6 Bitcoin for the whole of 6 months, plus or minus a little bit, because that's the information that I got from my research, that because the usage was less, they didn't want to have that as a system to be used. They didn't want it to continue with Bitcoin. So they just stopped it and they used different things to say not necessarily the right thing must be by them because of the government pressure or things like that. They said those things, but then that is not the real answer to it. Actually, that is not the real result to it. What had actually happened is in that time in China, to get hold of cryptocurrency itself was a little hard. And once you buy into cryptocurrency, and then when you have a cryptocurrency, and it goes to India also, but when you hold cryptocurrency and then you go to a shop, to start with, that shop guy takes cash, takes digital transfers, which is like UPI, which is for China also. They take bank transfers, they take cards, and they take many kind of ways of payment, which is more simpler to you and you're used to it. Because you're used to those simpler methods, you continue doing that and you don't give your crypto to a settlement because it was not the easiest thing to buy into crypto to start with. So you don't want to spend it easily. You would want to spend it with other means that is easy already. So because of that, the commerce of crypto didn't happen as much. It was even in China, for that reason, it didn't pick up as much for the payment sector, because within their country, they have a great payment system set like we have in India. When you go to a shop, there's many ways that you can pay. Online also, many ways you can. Simplest for me, a lot of people used is cash on delivery. So the cash just comes, the product just comes home, and then you can pay cash and settle it. So those are great features, right? Because in the midst of those, crypto didn't launch very well. But in abroad, it has. In other countries like Australia, Western countries like Germany, I'm just giving you a few specific examples, but there are other countries also doing really well, including Slovakia. In Slovakia, there is a place called Ljubljana, the capital.
Right.
Those cities are using crypto a lot because they don't have that kind of easy feature. They only have credit cards as most popularly used. Cash is less circulated. They don't have an UPI. So they were expanding their idea of Bitcoin and they were using Bitcoin for their payments. But in India, it didn't catch up as much. So because it is one of the difficult to get into, we're working on that to crack that first. If we crack that and get people to spend because the shops are giving some discounts because you're paying with crypto, and also there are some crypto users, because before I don't think there were many crypto holders also, and now that we have a few, we can push into getting some merchant adoption happening. So the shops, at least to give an open mind to cryptocurrency, say that yes, they are accepting cryptocurrency, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum. Those are the main three coins that we have on crypto. That's what we push for people to accept. If you go into a shop and the shop says, yes, we accept crypto, these are the few main cryptocurrencies people always have. And if they really want to spend with that, at least to experiment, they should be able to have a venue to use it. So that's the basic and the first milestone that we want to cover on, and see how we can bring in Indian crowd to believe in cryptocurrency for payments. That small thing is very useful for Bitcoin Cash, if I may say, because Bitcoin Cash is the real code follower of Satoshi. Because even in Bitcoin, the codes of Satoshi was changed in 2016. They moved from your first in, first out to your RBF. It's called replace by fee, which actually doesn't help newcomers and small payments in Bitcoin very easily. Because if you understand right, Satoshi on his white paper, the very first abstract of the white paper, it's very clear. It's a digital peer-to-peer cash system. What it
Right.
means is much, much beyond what people of Bitcoin understand. It means it's value proposition system for everything, including payments, as like how we do peer-to-peer cash system. To follow that particular thing of Satoshi, Bitcoin Cash group follows that a lot more because they understand that Bitcoin Cash was kept as Bitcoin Cash because we didn't allow that split to happen or the
Right.
fork to be inserted like how we did in Bitcoin in 2016 by replaced by fee. What does replace by fee do in Bitcoin is that if I make a transaction first and you made a transaction after me, but you paid a higher fee and I paid a less fee, you can go before me in the queue, even though my timestamp was earlier than yours. That
Right.
actually is not a very good feature to have
Hmm.
for newcomers and small payments.
Right.
So what happens with that is you as a bigger player make big fee and then you will take the slot of the block before me. But Satoshi didn't write it that way. Satoshi wrote it as first in, first out. So if I was the first person to make a transaction, it does not matter. If my fee is small, I will be the
Hmm.
first person to go ahead in the transaction. That's what Bitcoin Cash follows. But that particular point that Bitcoin Cash follows really helps the financial system of the world. Bitcoin continues to live like that as an asset class, the trading tool, but not going to be really breaking into the payments and financial systems of countries like India, Africa, and Asia, because we all work on a smaller basis. We don't pay fees as $1, $2. It's not easy for us to pay. For
Right.
for
So
a
yeah,
UPI
Bitcoin is
user,
perhaps is yeah. So Bitcoin perhaps is not like the ideal medium of exchange, you would say.
yes, it's an ideal medium for hodlers, for an asset class,
Yeah.
for a trading tool, because the fluctuation in trading in Bitcoin gives them higher range than any other crypto. So that way, Bitcoin is a great asset class and a trading tool, but it is not a great payments tool like the way Bitcoin Cash does it. Because Bitcoin Cash really follows Satoshi's vision in clear format. The Satoshi wanted it like that, and that was his code. When Satoshi was so smart to build a product like that with many technologies he's putting together with a lot of experience, you should understand that he has made this for a reason, and at least that part of it should be explored. So Bitcoin and maximalists have forgotten a little bit of that and don't explore that part of it because they're
Yeah.
happy exploring the asset class, the trading tool class, because there everybody's time is limited, right? We cannot explore everything because our time is what gives us the ability to research and understand. So that they don't necessarily, everybody don't come up with.
That is
So
absolutely true.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
Cash is where,
Yeah. With the
yeah,
Lightning Network,
it's one of the
obviously, it makes it a little easier.
with Lightning Network, it does definitely does. It's just a second layer as a custodial Lightning network because the Lightning layers are mostly custodial.
Hmm.
There are ways to do it, of course, but an on-chain instant settlement is something a lot of people like as a libertarian. If you are a libertarian, you look at that kind of a system because you don't want the feature of a centralized being there, because then they have the ability to stop, to reverse, to deny a transaction. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? That's what we're
Right.
trying to
Yeah.
come out with, right? Julian Assange felt that in 2011 that his payments, his donations were stopped, diverted, and put fear in those payment systems' minds that they don't facilitate Julian Assange to start getting donations. So those kind of centralized systems is what we want to take out, and for that
Right.
is why Bitcoin Cash is something I look at it at a greater vision in my system, but because of the way that we are thinking about being payments and settlements and bringing in that adoption.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely right. I think I agree with mostly all of your points that you've made here that Bitcoin can be, moving forward, it would be like a store of value. It can be pegged to your day-to-day currency. But for a medium of exchange, obviously there is still, it kind of leaves a little wanting. So that kind of, quickly brings me to my next question. So, which projects would you say that you kind of are rooting for right now, currently in the global space or from India?
So if you have any specific examples of those projects, I would love to talk about them. My project idea, when you asked me the question, was very wide.
Hmm. No, I basically am referring more to, if there is a particular platform that has kind of caught your eye and you think that they're really solving a particular problem, which you think is, relevant right now and which you think, it would has the correct vision to perhaps execute it right. Are there any projects that, you're eyeing at the moment and you think that, okay, yeah, they're really, really solving a real problem there?
Well, I guess that's the point. Very good. Because you really have to solve the economic issues that's there, right? That's when you want to make something famous and talk about it so much. Well, I have to go back to Bitcoin Cash for that reason, because that's helping that payment settlements part of it around the world. After that is something to do with the tech itself. Is, I would say, the Ethereum based blockchain developers are actually cutting the edge right now. I had been in a conference recently where the conference was very specific to Ethereum and its blockchain and the way the decentralized smart contracts have been getting executed. And I think those projects are really changing the financial landscape to put in all of them on decentralized system. Very, very useful and very knowledge part of the ecosystem, because every new developer who's coming in, he's probably able to understand that what is the value addition that the smart contracts are bringing. DeFi system smart contracts, because you can think of any of those products that banks provide you. You can build on Ethereum blockchain, put that on a DeFi system. You just moving the centralized banking structure or banking idea that was there to a decentralized blockchain. You kind of give it the same facility. If it's a lending one from the banks, or it's a savings account, or it's FD, those kind of things are already built. There is escrow. Banks are the biggest escrows of the world, because if I have to trade with somebody in Delhi, and if I don't travel as much to meet him, then I have to depend on a bank in between us to be an escrow system to make us believe in each other and do our transactions, send and receive our value to receive our business needs of commerce that we're doing. So that part of it is now going on Ethereum. And the beauty in India that I have seen is that there are many, many developers, and they're all working towards it. It's the very good beginning, because if you don't work on specific part of the crypto and its blockchain and based on that side, you will not eventually learn about everything else. So at least they're putting their minds on understanding the centralized thing to move it to decentralized. That is a very good, exposure that they're getting. Once that exposure is fulfilled by them through their coding and their tech development part of it, because eventually you all get kind of bored a little bit when you keep doing the same thing, and then they realize, okay, I did so much of this, let me explore a little bit more of cryptocurrency in terms of being it's an asset class, being it's a trading tool, or being it as an instant settlement tool. Then they will understand that, wow, these things are just expansion to what he was doing. Then they will improve their knowledge on and build more things for cryptocurrency in the future. And I think that's inevitable. I have seen in the past they built on Ethereum blockchain something called Slockit and Uproof. Have you heard those projects before?
Actually, I think I've heard of Sprocket, but not of the other one that you mentioned. But yeah, go on.
Uproof, yeah. Slockit was very simple. Slockit allowed a bank, hotel kind of infrastructure to get bookings from customer directly through crypto, and gives him a slot on the blockchain, gives him the keys on the blockchain, saying from this time to this time he's able to use his particular room because he's paid for that. He doesn't have to now go into the reception, and without the reception he can straight away walk to his room. And with his phone's blockchain being powered through internet, he's just able to open the room to that specific time till that specific time that he has booked it for. And the blockchain and the internet together manages the whole experience of him using the hotel. So that way, that's one of the DeFi systems that's been built outside the financial network. And there is another one which is outside the financial network, which has been built. It's called Uproof. Is actually a platform to put in IP, intellectual properties, because your intellectual property system that is available in the world is a very old system. It's a very slow system. It costs a lot. You have to hire a lot of people, lawyers and whatnot, spend a lot of money, and wait a lot of time to get your result. But then all that is fixed on the Uproof platform by just taking a picture or a small audio recording, a video recording, or even a file. You change to a hash of that. You embed that hash with your transaction, and your transaction was as low as 7 paise. That means for 7 paise, I can do an IP, intellectual property, of the shoe that I just designed. I picture the design shoe that I did, put it on the internet, on the Ethereum blockchain. That's it. That's my IP. In the future, if there was any other shoe, somebody was wearing something like that and paid 10,000 rupees for it, I can go and claim who sold that to him, saying that that's my design. How can you just sell it to him for that price? Even if you did, just give me my part of it. How do you claim that part of it? By showing him this transaction, which is timestamped on the blockchain, to show that this is his idea before he got mass. That kind of a proof is very simple on the blockchains. So Uproof did that. You should, if you open the website of Uproof, it is a funny thing to read. The caption that they've written below that, it says patent pending, which is actually not happening in Uproof, because it's never pending. It's instantly done. What is
Yeah.
patent pending is actually the way the real IP goes through, because everybody goes through the real IP website and look up every time they see this thing called
It is so
patent pending
complicated.
for years, for
Yeah, it
months.
is so complicated, the
Yes,
entire
yes.
process, right? And this kind of simplifies it. So that is essentially, I think, what technology does, right? Technology is supposed to be solving problems and making life easier, so to say. That is why all of these newer solutions that are coming in, they're going to revolutionize the way that, we kind of interact with so many verticals in our life. And that is why this space is exciting, because it kind of manages, it's like an octopus. It's not even an octopus. I think it's more like an amoeba. It's touching so many verticals, and we are in such a dynamic space which is growing tremendously. So the kind of what we'll see in not even the next decade, probably in the next 2 years, is going to be absolutely mind-blowing, I believe.
Oh, very right, very right. You got the point very clearly. That's one of the things. Maybe not 2 years, but every 4 years, it gives a dramatic change to the
Yeah.
landscape of how crypto has been adopted and used and priced.
Yeah,
And why the
absolutely.
price goes up is a question from a lot of people that I hear.
Right.
It's pure economics. It's
The
demand and
market
supply
play,
to
right?
start
Yeah,
with.
it's just market, right? How does the market work in general? So this is something that people keep coming to me about as well, and then I kind of like give them the example that you have the markets right now, and maybe they are not that volatile as compared to crypto, but then you need to also understand that crypto is absolutely in its infancy and it's constantly growing, and these markets have been around for a while, and the market kind of settles itself. So that is something that people really do need to keep in mind, right?
Very right, very right. Because it's very clearly it's in the early stages. There was one classic example for this IP thing that I came across was when Kim Kardashian, I'm sure everybody knows that who's listening to it, she claimed that she has this IP taking a picture of her behind in a mirror. And the reason this came up is because one girl in Africa, he has better behind than her. Then she took a picture of that on the from a mirror
Uh-huh.
and then became a little famous on Instagram. So when that
Right.
happened, she said, "No, I hold the rights to it." Well, of course you will be, because you're the richest person, one of the richest person. It's easy for you to get an IP on anything and everything. What kind
Yeah,
of facility can we give to that girl in Africa to get her IP for a lesser price? Is your blockchain. Tomorrow she can
absolutely.
just take a picture, put it on the blockchain, like how she would send it to either Instagram. She can use that just sending it through a transaction. Today's transactions are very, very low. I mean to say is lower than the coins that we believe in is proving that. Of course, I have on my InstaCrypto Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the two daddies of the crypto. Bitcoin being the real daddy, and we
Hmm.
have to have the other, which helps our idea of InstaCrypto, right? So we have Bitcoin Cash and Tron, because
Right.
Tron is eventually free. Like means in Bitcoin Cash we pay 6 paise, in Tron, we don't have to even pay 6 paise. So that means that girl
Right.
can make a transaction of 1 paise without paying any fee and putting that particular IP idea of hers on the blockchain for such a low cost, and instantly that gives the facility to everybody to come up, innovate, and be the
It's
player in the
not
market.
just, yeah, absolutely. It gives, so blockchain kind of levels the playing field, so to say. Not in just in finance, but as you mentioned in IPs, there are so many ways, because that is what decentralization does essentially, right? Because when there is centralization of power, you basically call the shots, right? As you said that with forex, that there are a bunch of people sitting in a boardroom and they decide, okay, how do we stand to benefit from this, and that is how they price it. So with decentralization, essentially with blockchain, it kind of levels the playing field. So, very, very valid points and a very fun example as well. So this was really nice. We kind of running short on time. So I would like, for you to quickly give me perhaps some content creators or books that you would recommend to our listeners who want to, perhaps get into this space, or just to get the information right, because there's a lot of noise in this space as well, right?
Totally, totally. Well, quickly, I can tell a few things that if you're looking up to understand how Bitcoin is going to help and cryptocurrency is going to help, there are a few people who've been talking about it. They're great guys. They have great knowledge. So you can listen to them. One of them is Andreas Antonopoulos.
Yeah.
The other guy is Eric Warus. He's the Shapeshift guy. Then, of
Yeah.
course, Roger Ver is there from Bitcoin.com. These people have that deep understanding of why crypto is so useful, because they come from the real land of West world where it's controlled. So they give that better eye-opener examples. So you can follow them. Some of the things that I recently liked was this book called Who Painted My Money White, that
Right.
gives you another idea of why we should adopt to something like this, because by staying on the old system of paper money, you can see a lot of people just flooding your paper with a similar same kind of paper, which you thought you never would have given it to your counterpart, your enemies. That's the system globally people are playing there. Even companies from Germany, UK, and US, from after reading the book, I realized that even the companies are trying to, play a bad role in Indian economics. They
Right.
do not care about the economics of 1.3 billion people, and they're making a fool of us by giving out the same paper that they gave it to India to another terrorist organization for them to make counterfeit notes and flush it in India and then take advantage of that. Those kind of things has been explained on that book, Who Painted My Money White.
Okay,
It's just a
this
level
is
of
actually
understanding
not
when
something
you
that I
understand.
have read either. I'm sorry. I think there is a lag. I interrupted you, but yeah, Andrews Antonopoulos, I
No
think
problem.
is a fabulous example. Like I keep going back to him and his videos and his books, The Internet of Money, and all the volumes. They are fantastic places to actually start. So this kind of brings me to the last question, and I ask this to everybody who comes on the show. What would be your 2 cents for somebody who wishes to get into this space, essentially to start living on blockchain? What do you think a person should do?
I think it's a little bit of time to put in research to understand. First of all,
Right.
on a blockchain means that you have to hold some kind of blockchain based cryptocurrency. So you'll have to buy into it. If you're a beginner to buy into it, InstaCrypto is the best place for you because you learn from it, not just give you a head start to buy crypto, but you make sure that you hold the crypto by yourself. So by
Right.
holding, you learn about the blockchain.
Yeah.
Then the idea that just doesn't have to stop, because once you hold the crypto, which is a blockchain based crypto, then you automatically look into venues of what more blockchain can do. And that's a good start for you. Then you can straight away get on to the best thing that you like about Bitcoin or blockchain to start exploring.
Yeah, I think those are the ways to do it. I think learning by, kind of doing is going to lead to sort of hyper growth of learning and of being in this space. So, yeah, that is perhaps the best way. I usually say that, if you want to get into the space, just buy a little bit of crypto because once, you have some skin in the game, you would want to, learn more and kind of expand your horizons.
Exploring. Totally,
Wonderful.
totally.
So,
You got it.
yeah, so this has been like lovely chat, Vikram. Do you have any last thoughts?
No, I'm great. I think I had a lovely talk with you. It was really nice chatting with you because you understand basic, underlying reason for why crypto is alive today and Bitcoin is there
Yeah.
in this world today. That helped me answer better. And I think kudos to you. You've got a great show going. I'd love to be on it again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. We will call you again sometime. And, I think, it was such an interesting conversation that could have gone on for like 2 hours. But because of the paucity of time, we have to kind of cut it short. But yeah, we'd love to have you again on the show as well. Thank you so much, Vikram, for taking out the time. It was lovely speaking to you.
Thank you very much. It was great talk.